and thanks everybody who's joining us today. Today, like Gaz said, is kind of special and different and unique. It's the first time that O'Reilly has done an Ignite as a webcast. And it's also kind of unique because it's a redo of a live webcast in-person Ignite that we did at BEA with the IDPF just last month. And things didn't go perfect then, and we're going to redo it today. I thank all of our speakers today so much for joining us. And just to let you guys know a little bit about how it's going to go, I'm going to be advancing the slides manually, which is not normally how it works, but with our webcast setup, that is how we have to do it. So hopefully I will be sort of on time. And also, I just wanted to also thank from the IDPF, Bill McCoy and Wendy Ehrman, who put together this wonderful group of speakers for you today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is going to be David Wilk. When he starts speaking, I'm going to hit the timer. We're going to just keep going, and Kathy and Charles will jump in after that. And we'll go through till the end with Nick Ruffilo from Aerbook. And after that, we might have some time left over for questions. So please, if you're listening, go ahead and type any questions you have for any of these awesome startups into our chat box, and we'll be sure and address them. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and, David, if you want to get started.
All right. Slow publishing in a fast digital universe. This is a slow publishing manifesto. This is a call to values, not a rejection of technology. It's not about killing the Kindle or denying digital. Slow publishing is jidoka, automation with a human touch. Modern culture is blindingly fast. The speed of digital life makes it too easy for us to forget the deep values human communication is based on. The mindless industrial production of digital products is the publishing equivalent of fast food. Digital publishing is clearly more efficient than analog publishing. No print, no paper, no bind, no boxes, no warehouse, no shipping, and best of all, no returns. And crucially, digital makes publishing faster to market. This is all good. But we must not speed up the core elements of publishing. Editorial is writing, content shaping, and curation. Design is the presentation of text through media. Marketing is how we connect books to readers. All require time, attention, and practice skills, and all create long-lasting value. In all human languages, the words for physical objects change quickly, while the words for values and core narratives change slowly. Communication is a deeply human value. Slow is how humans live and breathe, and speed does kill us. Editorial is the basis of slow publishing, thinking, reflecting, and reading. Writing books takes time. Every book we produce requires thoughtful editing and careful proofreading. Design and production enables success. Customer experience is based in design. Workflow is based in design. Design shapes content as presented on machines, and design must always include thorough quality assurance. Marketing in a digital world takes more time than ever. Social media is deeply slow marketing. Because books are always available, marketing is an ongoing process. Slow marketing is powerful relationship building. Just as print books vary in size and shape, devices vary by size, form, and features. Book content must be carefully shaped and presented for many platforms, all of which are constantly evolving. Digital publishing enables and requires an attentive and time-consuming process of re-envisioning content for new environments. As this example demonstrates, great digital does not happen by simply converting print books to digital. Digital is evolving. Slow publishing is iterative and generative. It's a process. This cover comparison simply demonstrates what slow publishing is all about. The cover on the right was created for a successful print book and never considered for what it might look like online. Slow publishers know they must devote time and attention to every aspect of their work, especially book covers. Could this happen to you? Not when you take time to review output on every device and orientation. Digital publishing can make you feel like you're in Oz, except you can't go back to Kansas by clicking your heels. Slow publishing is the yellow brick road. Fast publishing enables bad books and angers customers, while slow publishing builds powerful brands. Quality work drives all business models. Today you can lose your brand's value overnight. Readers notice everything. Do you? Fast publishing is like fast food. It's cheap and unsustainable, whereas slow publishing creates nourishing works that last. Slow publishing fosters deep connections between writers and readers. This represents real value. This is slow publishing. Slow publishing is about adhering to basic principles of communication. These are: slow down your workflow, pay attention to the reader experience, follow proven publishing practices that don't change over time. And it can be simplified to the slow publishing ABCs. Pay attention to detail in everything you do. The basic principles of communication do not change. Customer experience is always first and foremost. Slow publishing means we must design appropriately for every reading experience in a constantly changing environment that is driven by technology. Devices of many different kinds are now where readers interact with text. Publishing is platform. Digital changes what a book can be, but book is a meaningful concept that has long-lasting value. The book is signal, not noise. E-books are still books. Slow publishing is hard work that we are completely capable of doing well. As Joe Esposito recently said, we cannot begin and end this discussion with the assumption that the future of the book business is about books of the kinds that we are already familiar with. The internet changes everything, and you are in charge. I want to thank you for your attention and time, and my metadata and acknowledgments follows. I'm not going to try to read those, just leave them up on the screen for a few seconds. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Meis, founder and president of Bublish. I've been a writer and editor for more than 20 years and a reader my entire life. And I'm a coffee addict.
Hi, I'm Charles Whitesmith, CEO of Bublish. I develop SaaS applications, write books about HTML and CSS, and play the guitar. Today's disruptive marketplace has brought about many changes. With fewer gatekeepers, an author's path to publication has become faster and cheaper, leading to a massive, noisy, crowded online marketplace. We live in an age of content abundance.
This new online world offers many opportunities. Using the power of social channels, authors can now build direct relationships with their readers. Publishers that empower their authors to do this have the opportunity to enjoy new social relevance. For both authors and publishers, social is an affordable and effective avenue to expand their reach.
The challenge for authors is to find the right readers that are interested in their writing style and genre. And once they find those readers, they have to keep their attention. And both authors and publishers need new ways to measure success in this rapidly changing marketplace.
What this means, and Kat, I'm not seeing the slides advance. We're about 2 slides ahead to the Discover. One more, please. One more slide, please. Thanks, Kat. What this means is that discoverability is the issue for authors and publishers in the age of content abundance. So it's crucial to understand what drives the discovery process.
In this age of algorithmic recommendations, word of mouth is still king. Relationships continue to be the context that readers desire. Discovery has always been social, even before Facebook and Twitter, and today's massive and numerous social platforms are the perfect vehicle to magnify word-of-mouth recommendations.
The true beneficiaries of social discovery are the authors, who can now engage in direct and enduring relations with their readers. But to have effective social conversations, authors need tools to help them. Publishers that empower their authors with the tools to develop their readership will survive and thrive.
This is why we created Bublish, a social book discovery platform that is revolutionizing the way writers share their stories and readers find books they love. Bublish connects writers and readers through social storytelling to build close and long-lasting relationships. Let's explain how this works.
Bublish brings together the best aspects of today's social web, the visual interest of Pinterest, the highly shareable content of Twitter, the successful social commerce of fab.com, and the back-end intelligence of Pandora.
This is a book bubble, the heart of the Bublish platform. Bubbles give authors the opportunity to provide personal insight into their books and the writing process. We call this story behind the story. For readers, Bublish recreates online, pleasurable, relaxing bookstore browsing experience.
To create a bubble, authors simply highlight an excerpt in their ebook, add their insight, and then share their bubble across multiple social networks. With Bublish, authors can create fresh, engaging content in a matter of minutes.
Each bubble contains the social metadata that the author adds when creating their profile and uploading their book. This includes not only genres but also rich keywords that link the book to the reader's interests.
Readers also add social metadata when they join Bublish, designating multiple genres as well as topics of interest. As readers browse bubbles, they're able to learn their preferences based on their engagement with different coded book bubbles.
Over time, Bublish will deeply understand readers' interests and connect them to new books in an almost magical way. Even the most unlikely combinations of topics, such as these, could yield new and exciting results for readers.
Bublish enables writers to grow their audience and nurture loyal and enduring relationships that will support them throughout their career. Readers are connected in a fun and seemingly serendipitous way with new authors, genres they love to read.
We think of Bublish as a social funnel that leads readers from browsing to purchase. Connection begins when readers are introduced to bubbles through their social connections and evolves as readers engage with writers and other readers around the topics about which they are passionate.
Readers want to access their content anywhere and on any device. Publishers want standardization and their deserved share of control. So Bublish offers open source, web-based solutions for publishers, authors, and readers.
As soon as we launched Bublish at Book Expo America in June 2012, publishers, publicists, and agents started to ask for a dashboard to manage multiple authors on the Bublish platform. This product is now in development and will be available later in 2012.
Our vision for Bublish has been validated by the first month of activity. We have hundreds of active users on the platform, and many authors have already received hundreds and even thousands of bubble views.
We invite you to contact us to learn more, to give input on our new Publisher dashboard, and to learn how Bublish and social book discovery can build awareness, drive sales for you and your authors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miral, and I'm going to talk about how the publishing industry is like the Game of Thrones. So for those of you, how the publishing industry is like the Game of Thrones, I'm the CEO and founder of a platform called BiblioCrunch. What we do is we connect authors and with freelance professionals. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Game of Thrones, it's a HBO series adapted on the book by J.R.R. Martin. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of war. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of guts. And it's basically mine and tons of other people's favorite books and shows right now. And so it's based on the mythical kingdom of Westeros, which consists of 7 kingdoms, 9 administrative regions ruled by the Iron Throne. It's bordered by the Wall, which is protected by the Night's Watch. There's dangerous threats that threaten the kingdoms, like White Walkers, others, wildlings that live beyond the Wall. And what stays beneath the Wall needs to be protected. So a pivotal event happens. The king of the Iron Throne is killed in Game of Thrones. A well-loved leader is executed. His name is Ned Stark. War starts, and a bunch of various houses vie for kingship and their own fiefdoms. Basically, the old world order has come to an end. And everyone's kind of scrambling. No one knows what's going on. So war starts, and there's several different houses, kind of like how there's several different publishing houses, hundreds of different publishing houses now. And there's struggle between powerful families. Marriage alliances are formed. They're broken, and they're kind of constantly changing. And it's constantly, like, evolving, and, you know, everyone's kind of just doesn't know what the outcome is going to be. So the war between the Game of Thrones is like the war between the players in the publishing industry, because there are so many players, no one knows what's going to happen, and it's just kind of in a state of flux right now. There's lots of startups coming about. There's lots of new kings coming about. So the publishing industry is kind of like the Game of Thrones. You have Apple versus Amazon. You have publishing startups. You have traditional publishers. You have, like, people who used to be traditional book retailers, and now they've kind of reinvented themselves, similar to the Game of Thrones characters. If you guys are familiar with them, we have King Baratheon, who used to be the king, and he's kind of like the traditional publishers. He used to be powerful. He was the original gatekeeper, but like traditional publishers, late in adapting, and they were blind to threats. And their lack of innovation basically is killing them, and he ends up dying. So hopefully traditional publishers will end that way too. Daenerys Targaryen is kind of like Apple. She rose from the ashes. She has an element of magic like her dragon. She has a strong cult-like following. And she's kind of a big player in the game right now, but no one knows what she's going to do next. And then we have the next players, which are the various houses like Renly Baratheon and like Barnes & Noble. He does a powerful marriage alliance, similar to what kind of Nook does with Windows. Barnes & Noble and Microsoft join, and they're looking basically for marriage of convenience. They have loyal followers, and everyone's kind of hoping that they're going to be able to figure it out. And then we have Amazon as Cersei Lannister. So she's wealthy and powerful. Amazon's wealthy and powerful. Everyone loves to hate them. And they kind of play by their own rules. And, you know, but they're, you know, key voices. And they keep on coming up with new ideas and kind of innovating. And we don't know if they're going to end up alive or dead. And then you have Jon Snow, who's kind of like the publishing startup. They are relatively new, but they're both sexy. They think outside the box. They realize what needs to be done to survive, and they're kind of going to help pave the way for the future of the kingdoms and also for the future of publishing. So why do we need more publishing startups, aka why do we need more Jon Snows? Entrepreneurs are passionate about the struggling industry. Entrepreneurs are more likely to be nimble and adaptable to change. They're not really loyal to a particular house, but are looking for ways to return to a way for authors, publishers, everyone to kind of work together and succeed. So basically, my startup, BiblioCrunch, can help the publishing industry because change is here. So we connect passionate ebook professionals from around the world to create amazing books. And then we also have like simple tools that you could publish into all the different formats. But we make everybody go through an application process. So you get people from Simon & Justo, HarperCollins on the platform. So what is BiblioCrunch? It's really easy. Let's say you're an author, you have an ebook publishing need, you need to convert all your PDFs to EPUB, or you need a good cover. So you launch your project, you set your budget, you put the skills that you're looking for, put in a deadline, and then you hire a vetted ebook professional from our community. And we also take care of all the payments too. So you can browse over the 500 professionals that we have. You can refine based on needs, and you can. We have everything from copy editors, app producers, people who make book trailers, editors, conversion specialists. And you can post projects on there too. And then we also have a place where you can get hired as well. And BiblioCrunch helps you with the entire publishing process. We have a really handy publishing checklist, which kind of breaks down all the different steps that you need. People think it's just about writing and getting it out there, but you need to have good design, you need to have good cover, you need to have good editing, and you basically need a solid package. So the job that publishers used to traditionally do, a lot of people can do on their own by just hiring the right people. And one good thing is you can browse people's profiles. Every author, publisher, designer is vetted, so you do have to fill an application process. Not anyone can get in, which kind of keeps our community a little smaller, but it also gives it a high value. So the publishing industry outcome is yet to be determined. We don't know what's going to happen in the Game of Thrones, but we can definitely write our own destiny. And, so join us, become part of the revolution, experiment with startups, and see where the future is going to take you. And we're taking applications right now. We actually have more than 500 people on the platform right now. We've had hundreds of authors put their book through us, and we're excited to work with everybody and join the publishing revolution as it goes on. Thank you. And I'm Ralph Sattar.
Hello, everyone. This is Hidalgo from 24 Symbols. Publishing is not really a moment. Digital has brought so many options that the landscape is overwhelming and obviously a little scary. If we want to not only survive but enjoy this moment, we need to sow some seeds of love in the industry. Let me explain. There are 3 reasons why I believe publishing is so exciting. And there's some delay here. Publishing processes are digital. Books are becoming digital, but also readers are becoming digital as well. So there are great opportunities at many levels. And that's the reason why 1.5 years ago, we created 24 Symbols. We believed and believe that there is a trend from book ownership to consumption as a service that is part of the present and future of any cultural and entertainment industry. But being a startup means disrupting. And in our case, we're showing how a pure cloud reader with social capabilities and a new business model based on freemium, and that means that users are free and then convert to paying ones, would really make sense in the publishing industry. But the first time you explain this to publishers, what they hear is, wait a minute, free. We had to learn how to explain this in a way that was more compelling than that. This implied a better understanding of how the industry works, their assumptions and priorities. And to get to that stage, we met lots of great people of the publishing and startup ecosystems. But it is hard. We had and have to learn so many things of being a startup, even with past experiences, every startup is new, and of being part of publishing. And this is where mentoring and specifically startup accelerator programs come into play. A deep pool of mentors to attract startup talent with the promise of great insights and with hopefully a few of them doing laser resolution analysis of what startups need. With this, the promise is to help startups be successful, bridging the gap between a smart idea and a smart execution from a truly business-related standpoint. So you see, this is like, crossing that bridge. But does this really work? Well, the main challenge in these programs is when the startup is not an early stage one, and therefore very specialized and detailed help from very specific mentors required. This can be because of the experience of the founders, the industry they are in, or simply because, as they evolve, the needs they have are more and more sophisticated. But at the same time, they're still small and cannot hire expensive consultants. Sometimes coffee conversations are just not enough. Take 24 Symbols as an example. We competed at SeedCamp London, arguably one of the two main startup accelerators in the world. And we won. Hey, great. This was a perfect opportunity for us to learn from expert mentors. But most of the feedback we got, we had already thought very deeply about it. Mentors did their best, absolutely, so maybe it was us. But on the other hand, I started to be a mentor of other startups. So this is a great experience, but also very challenging. What do I know that can be useful to these guys? In some cases, I clearly was able to help, but in others, it was really a waste of their time. So summarizing, publishing startups enter an industry that is changing, but with very well-established and specific actors and relationships. My best mentor would probably be myself in 5 years. With my experience, my knowledge, my mistakes, how can we get as close as possible to this? Well, this is my proposal today. A true publishing startup accelerator, a place where the most relevant players in the industry return part of what they learned throughout their careers by helping high-quality and potential startups to evolve and create value to the industry. This accelerator would, of course, have generic skills mentors, learning from and collaborating with the best current acceleration programs like SeedCamp, Y Combinator in the US, or Startup Bootcamp. Because T-shaped ideas and pollination are key, and because at the end, knowing about financing, user cost, or pitching are critical skills for any company. But also with a key involvement of publishing experts that will help with things like legal issues, politics of publishing, contractual relationships, networking. In summary, a mixture that implies both showing the publishing map and explaining and working together some specific routes. These guys also become champions inside of their companies, providing startups with key relationships, proof of concept opportunities, content for trial or beta testing, and so on. And what do publishers gain here? Well, as you will see in a second, this can be the mini brand of B&B, a place to experiment, to quickly and cheaply validate ideas. What do they invest? Time, some resources. What do they earn? Well, the know-how for the major brand, potential employees, new types of users, and maybe the future of publishing. There are some recent experiences like Paris, Labo de Lichon, UK SciC Tomorrow, or BBC Worldwide Labs, and some publishing meetups around the world. But it's not enough, and publishing stakeholders are not yet fully engaged. Acceleration needs everyone involved. Well, just to finish, the future of publishing needs to match current know-how, technology, experienced leaders, and crazy entrepreneurs. Let's make it all happen together. Let's create the golden age of publishing. Thanks so much.
Hey, Matthew, you're up next.
I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about building an open source EPUB 3 reader using HTML5 technology, and sort of some of the challenges we faced while conducting that product, going through that project, and then some of the future directions that we have in plan for it in the future. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Matthew Robertson. I am a web developer from Vancouver, British Columbia. And I work for a small company called Evident Point Software Corp. I have a pretty cool job because for the last few months, they've actually paid me to work on an open source software project. And that project is called Redium. So Redium is an open source EPUB 3 reader. It's a project that's being spearheaded by the IDPF. And our job is to sort of push publishers to implement the EPUB 3 spec. We're going to build an EPUB 3 reader that's completely spec compliant just to show that it can be done, to put pressure on the other big guys to also do the same thing. Right now, we package Medium up as a Chrome extension, and it's getting pretty good. It's got support for a lot of EPUB 3 features, such as MathML. It's got support for the new EPUB 3 fixed layout spec. It's got support for media overlays. It's got support for scripting, and it's all 100% EPUB 3 spec compliant. Medium's open source. You can go to that URL right there, github.com/Medium/Medium, and you can see the source code. It's built with open source tools, and it's built to push forward an open standard. So if you're into open source, then you'll probably be into Medium. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to talk about some of the challenges we faced while building Medium. So first thing was we decided to build Medium 100% with HTML5, and that was an interesting choice because we were pushing that technology stack to its bleeding edge and sometimes a little bit beyond. For example, the first time we implemented reflowable pagination, we used a brand new EPUB or HTML5 feature called CSS3 region, and that had been around in Google Chrome since version 17, and it was working well. But then in version 21, they decided to turn it off. So that was frustrating. Like, one of the things about HTML5 is you're sort of at the mercy of the browser vendor. So if they make a choice, you're stuck with it. Another thing that's interesting about open source projects is you never know who's contributing to your project. Most of our specs were failing at one point, so I decided to go back and rewrite them. I decided CoffeeScript would be more readable. A lot of people use CoffeeScript to write their specs, and so that's what I did. But it turns out CoffeeScript doesn't use curly braces to eliminate code blocks, and we actually had a contributor I didn't know at the time that was completely blind. And he can't make sense of the spec anymore because there's no curly braces. He uses a screen reader, and so the only way that he knows where one chunk of code starts and the other one ends is curly braces. You have to think about these types of things when you don't see the people that you're working with every day. Some features of the EPUB 3 spec are just a little difficult to sort of get across. One thing that I kept banging my head against was the fixed layout versus reflowable. Those two things should appear to be the same thing from the reader's point of view, but from an implementation perspective, they're very different. I had to do a lot of things twice just to sort of get it working in both of those sort of domains. Another challenge is working with EPUB content creators. The EPUB 3 spec is very, very powerful, and it allows you to do a lot of crazy things in your EPUBs. But if you do crazy things, your books are probably going to turn out looking kind of crazy. Here's an example from the EPUB 3 samples project. So what's going on here is instead of having like reflowable text in the book, it's just one big long image, and that image is 2 columns. So when the reader opens it up in 2-column mode, all of a sudden it's 4 columns and everything's cut up because it's just a big image. Like, there's nothing we could do. So I would get bugs like this filed in Medium's issue tracker where they're like, hey, make my book look good, but it sort of comes down to your responsibility as the EPUB creator. Another thing is there's more than one way to do scripting, and some of those ways are banned by Chrome, so we have to ban them as well. I think with these types of issues, the answer is not to sort of refine the spec, but to come up with a bunch of best practices that will work for us as a community that we can get behind. If we do this, it'll work better. So that's sort of where we've been. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're planning to go for the future. So Medium's built 100% in HTML5. Because it's packaged as a Chrome extension, that's obviously sort of our target deployment right now. But being HTML5, we should technically be able to run anywhere. Unfortunately, with the state of the browsers the way that they are, that's not exactly, it's sort of more idealistic than it actually is. We do have a web server version that's working pretty well on Chrome and Firefox. Internet Explorer is a bit more of a challenge, but we might try and come up with something for the new Metro UI type of thing in the future. One platform that I'm really interested in getting onto is PhoneGap. So if you ever heard of PhoneGap, PhoneGap is it's a platform that allows you to take HTML5 code and then package it up as an application for a native application for devices. It does so by sort of opening up your code in a web view. another thing that we've talked about doing with PhoneGap is perhaps taking the Redium source code and allowing publishers to sort of combine a book with the Redium Chrome and Redium phone system, and then use PhoneGap to package everything up into an application that they can take to the app stores and sell it themselves. So basically, we'd offer a build process to build your book as an app. So you'd be completely free from everything. But in order to do these things, I need help. Like, this is an open source project. And an open source project is nothing without a thriving community. So if you're interested in Redium or if you're interested in anything that I said, you should try and get involved in the project. And there's lots of ways to get involved. You don't have to be a coder to get involved in the project. You can help to write code, sure. You can help to test things. You can write documentation. You can file bugs. You can just tell your friends about it and kind of get involved and tell us that we're doing a good job so that we sort of stay excited and sort of keep pushing this thing forward. So if you do want to get involved, those are the 3 URLs that you should know about. Also, I'm Matt D. Robertson on Twitter if you want to follow me. I tweet about Redium sometimes. Yeah, that's it for my presentation.
Hello, my name is Caleb Mason, and I am the founder and publisher of Publerati. And the title of my presentation is A Better Way to Launch New Literary Fiction Writers, and that's a question because it is an experiment and it's too early to know. Publerati just launched at Book Expo, and we're planning to try and solve what we think is a very serious problem that you don't hear a lot of talk about, and that's the existing publishing models, which have been under a lot of pressure for the last 2 decades, leave little room for discovering new serious fiction writers. And anyone who knows about the world of publishing fiction and mid-list fiction and new writers knows it's difficult. So the question I started with was, how many fiction writers have been told by literary agents and publishers that there is no market for literary fiction and short stories? And what does that say about our modern culture? It's one of our most important art forms across all kinds of different civilizations, and I think most everybody would agree that we don't want to see the death of literary novels and short stories. Writers of serious fiction slave away for years, decades sometimes, believing in art over commercialism, but now find a closed-down, broken system. Listening to David talk about slow publishing, this is very at odds with where we are today. Instead, it's money before art. That's the talk in the industry. You want a new novel every month. E-books are actually making this worse with pumping out a new, unedited, poorly produced e-book, fast, familiar, formulaic, and fleeting. The technology innovators are once again shaking up an outdated industry rife for reinvention. Apple and Amazon, Nook, Kobo, Copia, BookBaby, many. Just as what happened in the photography and in the paper map publishing businesses, these models are changing rapidly. So how much disruption will there be in conventional book publishing? Unlike those other industries I mentioned, there are some really valuable core skills in the traditional book publishing industry, which are primarily identifying talent and editing and producing really high-quality books. And the book industry does that. But the disruption is coming from technology, and it's really shaking things up. Now, you've all seen the e-books and print numbers that are around, and these numbers I have are fairly old, but I like them because I think trade paperbacks were one of the best book formats created. And you can see in this slide that e-books in January just about match trade paperbacks in sales. So the change is happening quickly. And think about it. Even if a new fiction writer can get published today, that book is going to be priced anywhere between $24.99 and $29.95. Seriously, not even your own mother and family members are going to pay $30 to read your first novel. So there has to be a better way for new talent to get out and build an audience. So Amazon, villain or savior? Does Amazon understand the consumer market better than New York publishers? Do $9.95 ebooks make more sense for everyone in the long run? I would argue that they do, and that Amazon actually is more of a savior than a villain and should be looked at that way. What if, I thought to myself, I started a hybrid literary agency and ebook publisher focused on literary fiction authors? What if we selected only high-quality works, edited them carefully, and launched them as $2.99 ebook originals, and then represented the rights of the select authors to print publishers or other emerging print providers? Might this be a better way to go about it? Electronic first, print later. So I decided to be adventuresome and to launch a new business and to go see what was out there for literary fiction manuscripts, because that was really the first unknown that I had. I didn't know whether there were going to be good books out there that weren't getting through, or if maybe the publishing industry was doing fine publishing what deserved to be published. And I especially didn't want any books with vampires or romance novels, and especially when the two are combined. So the first writer I discovered, her name is Susan Sterling, and her novel is called Dancing in the Kitchen. And we were very pleased that Pulitzer Prize winner Richard Russo gave her a wonderful glowing quote, "What a smart, elegant writer." And Susan, as it turned out, was a former professor, college professor, who taught writing. And that got me wondering how many college professors might have manuscripts tucked away that should be published. Lakshmi Raj Sharma sent me a collection of short stories from India, and they were just wonderful, witty, fun, superbly crafted, very carefully written stories where every sentence shines. And Lakshmi is also a professor of writing in India, and that really got me thinking that maybe I needed to try and reach out to more writing professors. Normal Family was a different novel in the mix. I really wanted to create a list that was a little bit like a good small restaurant with different tastes. This is a funny, hysterical family, dysfunctional holiday family novel that was just irresistible, and I wanted to publish it. And again, it's balanced the list nicely in terms of books that I didn't think would get published otherwise but deserve to be. The fourth book of the five that we have published is Journey of the North Star by Douglas J. Pennick. And here again, we got a wonderful Publisher's Weekly review, extraordinarily evocative details, moments of disarming poignancy. This is historical fiction, which is a great genre and that deserves to continue to be published. And it's a very well done story from the Ming dynasty about the Yongli Emperor. And it's really fascinating and a terrific accomplishment by the author. And lastly, from Great Britain came a young adult novel that really is fine for adults, and many adults have read it and reviewed it positively. It involves Camelot time travel adventures, and what I really liked about it was it features mostly female characters, very spunky, witty, fun characters. And it also it will be informative for readers, middle school readers mostly, about some of the history of the Camelot time. So I found some books that I really felt deserved to be published, started putting together a team, and then realized that these authors have no name recognition themselves, so there needs to be a brand to support them. So Publerati is really an idea of a collective, of a consortium, a collective, that these writers can have a platform behind them to support them all as they go forward and represent quality only in the area of fine fiction. The look that the designer came up with is what I call contemporary vintage. It's been called 1962 London, but I really love the look. So then the brand has a look, but I wanted each of the covers to have a look. So a little bit like Penguin, and maybe some of you remember New Directions years ago. The book itself has an identity and a look because the authors, it's a unified line look. And each of the titles is available from Amazon, iBookstore, Nook, Copia, Kobo, and others, and we're going to donate proceeds of our sales to literary charities around the world. So I'd really love you to try our ebooks. I think you'll find that each one is a great read, and they're only $2.99, and I'm hoping that we can help these new authors reach readers in a way that they deserve. So thank you very much, and please visit Publerati.com when you can.
All right. I see my slides, so I guess I will begin. My name is Nick Ruffilo, and I will be speaking to you about a concept called live authoring, which is where you have a chance to, in a very agile way, mitigate the risk of publishing a work. So all great works start with a great idea, but often you don't really know where your idea is going to go, and the process of getting from the beginning to the end in a final product is just, it's very expensive, it's very time consuming. So in an agile world, what you'd first do is just make a few pages. So you put down what you think would be, if you have a cover idea, throw the cover down. Just throw down your first few pages and go from there. So once you have your first few pages, what you do is you share them with your network. So you make them public, and you put it on Twitter, you put it on Facebook, and you solicit comments. So now that you've asked for comments, you have to speak with your social network. So you engage and say, hey, what did you think about the first page? I was talking, what about this passage? Does this character make sense, or should I reintroduce them later? So now that you have this feedback, what you want to do is just start building some more pages and going back and saying, okay, well, someone didn't like this character at this point, and I agree, so I'm going to rework how that character is and what they look like, and now you build a few more pages. And now that you have more content, you can go back out and share it and say, hey, I added 5 more pages. Take a look. Let me know what you think. And your network will get back to you, and some positive, some negative, and hopefully that can add value. As your content becomes better and as you have more content that you share, your network will start sharing it with their network. So before the book is even published, you already kind of are building a network of buzz. And now you can interact with that network of buzz and revise, continue, and share. So now all of a sudden your book is shaping up to 15, 20, 30 pages, and you've got some quality there. So now you have to stop and really look, and this is where you get value. You now have this checkpoint to determine if you should continue. So your decision point is: do you have an audience? Are people actually sharing your content, or are people kind of lukewarm and saying, we don't really care? So assuming that there is an audience and assuming that people are actually interested in your content, now you know that it's worth the effort and the time and money to continue creating this book, and you go back through the feedback loop. Well, now you've completed your book, and now what? Well, now you want to export it everywhere. You want to get it in EPUB and to an app. You want to get it to a website. You want to get it everywhere so that you can sell it. And now you make money. And how do you know you're going to make money? Because you already have an audience, and that audience is invested in this. Even though they may have just commented on how they liked one character, now they want to see what happened, and they want to see if you changed anything. So you have a predetermined audience and predetermined sales. And also, you have exactly what they want. You've received their feedback and integrated that into their book, which is why they'd want to buy it. You also have crowdsourced editing. Editing is a very, very difficult process, and it's very time-consuming, but you've had so many eyeballs, they're going to catch your spelling mistakes, your grammar mistakes. They're going to catch your inconsistencies in your timeline, and you can fix that while you're developing the book. You also have existing buzz. You've shared it to a lot of people, and they've shared it to people, so you already have a network you can reach out to and ask them to help you sell this. You also have an additional bank of ideas. Oftentimes, a sequel or prequel works really well, and you're going to get a lot of people who have character ideas, like, what if this character did this, or I wonder why they did this. You may not be able to answer it in the initial text, but you can answer it at a later time because you've solicited this feedback. This isn't just for self-publishers. A publisher can actually provide a great amount of value by having a larger network to start that initial sharing. So really, the publisher can mitigate the risk of a book by giving a small advance and say, we're going to try it out, and if it doesn't work, they can kill the project before it's too much. So engage your users, create better content, and you can sell more content. And ultimately, that will also help you build a community. My name is Nick Ruffilo. You can follow me at Nick Ruffilo on Twitter, and my email is nick@aerbook.com if you wish to know more about how you can implement this in your workflow. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nick, and thanks everybody so much, all the speakers, for all your hard work in preparing this, and thank you, Yaz, for helping to put it together. And again, thanks to Bill McCoy and all the people over at IDPF. I just wanted to let everybody know in the audience also, thank you. We'll be having some more TOC webcasts coming up over the summer, so keep tuned in to find out what those are all about. And thanks again, everybody. I guess we're going to sign off now.